Shalom, shalom, everybody. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our evening Sabbath class to close out the Sabbath day. We're gonna do as usual. We're gonna go into a moment of silence, uh, acknowledging the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing for our deliverance, and then we're gonna go into a prayer, and then go into current events. So that being said, we're going to a little prayer. Okay. O Lord, I pray unto the Lord my God, we make our confessions. O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and the mercy to them that love thee and them that keep thy commandments. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces, as it is this day. To the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven us, because of our trespasses that we have trespassed against thee. As it is written in the laws of Moses, all this evil has come upon us in the lands of our captivity, here in the Americas, Caribbean, Great Britain, and Africa. O Lord, according to all thy righteousness, I beseech thee, let thine anger and thy fury be turned away from thy city Jerusalem, and thy people, and thy holy mountain. O Lord, hear this prayer, and cause thy face to shine upon this sanctuary and thy people for thy sake. O Lord, open thine eyes and incline thine ears to hear and behold our condition. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken and do. Defer not for thine own sake. O my Lord, thy people need you very much so at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. Anybody got any current events they want to acknowledge? Okay. Well, I was gonna mention they had a rally today in Portland, a Trump rally. But the thing about it that's significant about it is we've been seeing these black militia that's been showing up with J Master J or whatever his name is, Grandmaster J, showing up in Louisville with their weapons and all that. Well, they got this white group now called the Proud Boys, and they radicals, and they known for everywhere they go they start chaos. So we see right here that these Proud Boys they showing up at Trump's rally today, and they causing all kind of ruckus because they having to bring in extra police and all that because they showing up. But it says that uh, members of the right wing Proud Boys and their supporters arrived in Portland Park on Saturday as a leftist activists prepared their own counter rallies, raising the temperature of the city around it on the edge as officials pleaded for the rallies to restrain from violence. Many of the members support Trump. They are they are known to engage in provocations, threats, and fighting with opponents. So we already see where that's headed because what they're gonna do is they're gonna bring them Proud Boys together in the NFAC, and it's gonna be something. You can already see it coming. All right. So any comments? Okay. So I'm gonna go into this part two of Gods of Egypt, so we can close this series out.
Ordinate creator who is not the original God. You need to get Bentley Layton's Gnostic scriptures, which was dug up in 1945 in Egypt, which predates Christianity. And in so many words, the Christians stole another person's religion and then tried to kill them off. But in 1945, these particular Gnostic scriptures was dug up again. So you can find out about this in Bentley Layton's Gnostic Scriptures. Also, I have my book, Titan 1 and Titan 2. That deals with these. I'll give you a copy. That deals with these, Titan 1 and Titan 2. And also has the actual manuscripts. The Titan 2 is called Gnostic Mythology, and it has these Gnostic documents that was dug up in 1945, 40.
Yeah, I want to share something with everybody here. So, like I was saying before, see, this the full book I was telling you about. This guy brought it up, and I've been had these books. He just mentioned this one, Bentley Layton's, not the scriptures. So this is what the order. This is when you really want to get down to it. This is the order of Christianity, because it's predicated off of the Horus, Isis, and Osiris. The Trinity that they had in Egypt. And then when these Nazis came, when the Greeks came, they took it and they made the Black Madonna, the mother and the child, and Horus. Osiris. So that's 4 books he brought up that I already had.
4, which was the story of a dollar brother that I was just telling you about. Now it quotes in this particular book, and I'll show you a quote. It talks about this. This particular entity broke away from the heavens. Because he didn't bother to look up to see that there was gods before him, he just thought that he was the God of the universe. And the dollar rock, which is also called Yahweh says, was boastful and arrogant and exclaimed, I am the Father and the God, and beyond me there is none other. But Sophia, which is also a form of the same Greek mother over and over in different languages, hearing this cried out to her son, lie not, Adal Labrath. Above all thee is the Father of all, the first man, the Son of Man, and man. Now, in the Greek mythology, before Zeus comes into being, which is the father of the Greek mythology, and that's where you get the origin of the word Jesus. It comes from Zeus. J, which is Jupiter in Rome, which is Zeus, and Zeus, which in Greek is Jupiter. They took the both words and put it together, the J, which is no J in the Hebrew language, and Zeus, or Zeus, and you get the word Jesus, or Jesus. Now Zeus, that's why I never say the word Jesus, just say Christ. Because it's not even a Hebrew word, it's a Greek word. Zeus, before Zeus ruled, the Titans ruled. The Titans were the gods of the universe. Zeus comes into being in so many words and burns up the Titans in a long war, and then take the dust from the Titans and make man out of the dust. So in the first of this book, they say that in actuality, in Titan 1, they said we need to go beyond the Olympian pantheon to the gods who they overthrew, which were their parents. So we are the parents of the ruling entities in heaven. But even in your Bible, it says this hell and this heaven will pass away. If everybody's trying to get to heaven, why is it in the Bible tells you that the heaven going to pass away? The hell you trying to get to a damn place and ain't going to be there when you get there.
And notice how he tied. All of them do this. They tie because they didn't attach this wicked ass New Testament to the Old Testament. They holler the Bible, but it's 2 different books, and he referring to none other than the New Testament that's been attached to the Bible. And so by them doing it, and then you got guys like this that know the better. They got all of it connected together because they stuck the New Testament on there and called it the Bible. And then I understand that's 2 totally different books.
They say that the kingdom is going to be on earth, and we are the ones that's supposed to establish the kingdom. No. But, okay. But I just want to say this one last part. I want to say this one last part. So Zeus overthrows the Titans, and the Titans are, and when he overthrows them, he burns them up, and the dust from the Titans was used to create man. And we are the dust from the Titans.
That's the Greek mythology.
That's the Greek mythology.
Now, in trying to deal with the African origin,
yeah,
in looking at the way the Europeans changed much of the concepts of the structure that was out of the Egyptian world.
Yeah, right.
And especially when we talk about the Nicene Council and all that. Can you explain to us how what we call Christianity evolved and the difference that it had as a Coptic Christian and then a European Christian?
Okay, the Coptic Christian, the Coptic Christianity. The story with all the rock I told you, the subordinate deity. That's coming from Coptic Christianity. When they dug these texts up, the Gnostic texts, they were translated from Coptic. In so many words you had, and I'm going to give you the whole story on how this thing went down. In so many words, originally you had a group of people who were the original Coptic Gnostics out of Alexandria, Egypt.
Alexandria, Egypt.
Which had been there since the beginning of Egypt, but they were called Typhonians then, and they go through a series of things. And so basically, Coptic just means later day Egyptian. They had their cult all the way up into, and when I say cult, I'm not talking about a negative thing. We're talking about a civilization all the way up into Rome. Now,
so to make this plain, these people right here, you talking about if they're in Alexandria, and Alexandria is the one built the city of Alexandria. So these Greeks, and if they Greeks and Alexandria dead, then they Buddhist. By the time they get to Alexandria, they Buddhist, and now they from a Buddhist perspective, they already in Hellenized Buddhism. Now they up in Alexandria in this library dealing with all these Egyptian scrolls and stuff. And so now you see how this thing unfolded.
Rome at the time.
One thing before you get wrong. How did different from Isis, Horus, Osiris, and the Egyptian pantheon?
Okay, let me explain something to you. When we get the Egyptian pantheon, we're getting most of the story from Plutarch, which is a Greek writer. When we look in the Book of the Dead and we look into most of the Egyptian things, you got to understand when you look at the large monuments in Egypt, most of those things are written in ritual. So we don't get the true pharaonic thought. When I gave you the Hermetic text, that's true pharaonic thought. But come to find out, this Gnostic thought that I'm talking about here, we find it also, the pieces of that is in the Hermetic text. So let me explain what happened. Sometime at the temple of Isis, or Aset, and I'll give you two versions. The temple of Aset, or Isis, a couple of years before it closed, maybe within a 100-year period, they translated a lot of the works from Metanetta into Coptic. The true pharaonic thought that I'm telling you about is the stuff that's in the Coptic.
Gnostic.
Now I'll explain in a few minutes on what it is. On what it is. But when you get the Book of the Dead, it's hard to find out what the Book of the Dead is other than the general Isis and Osiris story, because it's written in ritual. That means it was written for the priest, and it was a ritual book of spells and incantations. To get true pharaonic thought, you need to get the Hermetic text, which is the stuff I was giving you at the beginning of the thing, the lecture. That's true pharaonic thought, as well as the Gnostic text. which is true pharaonic thought. You can't get into true pharaonic thought through the Book of the Dead because most of the people, because the Book of the Dead, number one, is a ritual book and it's an esoteric book, and most of the black people are not scholarly enough into the metaphysical world to understand it. You see what I'm saying? But you can get it. There's several ways you can get the true pharaonic thought. The Coptic verse.
So the Egyptian Book of the Dead is esoteric, and the New Testament esoteric. The Old Testament is not esoteric. That's how you see the connection. When they predicated, when they concocted the New Testament, they concocted off the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It's esoteric. So that's what you see going on, and that's who. So Jesus is Horus, and when they concocted that, they was already Buddhist. But you have to understand that.
Version is this Gnostic stuff that I was just telling you about. Now, I'm going to go back to that in a few minutes, but let me explain something. During the time that the Hebrews, which is black people from Ethiopia, we got tribes of different ideologies, but it's always the same race. The black Hebrews was in Rome, raising hell. The Romans at the time had Romulus and Remus and some form of Zeus and all that. But they, over the course of years, their pantheon and their true meaning of the religion started fading. Now, you must understand in the ancient world, just like you have Democratic Party, Republican Party, your religion was also a political party, and you ran your government based on your ideology, based on religion. So as a result, in the Roman world, because of Romulus and Remus and a form of their Zeus pantheon or whatever, Jupiter, they had lost, over the course of years, it started deteriorating, and they had lost the cohesiveness of the understanding of it. Okay. Remember I told you first it was originally a black religion. The Etruscans, forget your Latin and Greek. But over the course of years, 2,000 years, they lost the meaning of it. Meanwhile, here's these Hebrews over here, raising hell, black people, in the height of the Roman Empire. The Roman citizens start looking and going, shit, if the government is based on your political and spiritual beliefs, then if your spiritual belief starts to fade and deteriorate, then your government will start deteriorating. So the other people, the Roman citizens, start looking at the Hebrews and started admiring them and saying, hey, shit, we might well join them, or we need to get some stuff like that. Meanwhile, Roman citizens was Paul and Josephus. The Romans say, man, we got to get us some religion. Like them Hebrews over there. Them niggas is cutting up.
Yeah, I want to shine a light on something because he keeps saying Negroes. I'm going to show you something right quick. Let me get it. So see behind me right here? That's a Syrian. Now, that's the reason he's saying Negro. Like I was telling you before, before they went, when they was in, they stole the land from the Israelites in 143 BC, and they intermingled with the Greeks. So they mulattoes, but they're saying black. So the same thing when they was given safe passage to Spain, they went over Spain. They said, hey, look where they went to Spain. But then they started intermingling with those European nations with the hierarchy. Edom did, Amalek, and he wiped it back out. But he keep on saying Negroes, but this what they look like. Right here. Okay, so make sure you understand that. Like I say, they wiped it out after they got to Spain. They started marrying into those European countries, and in over 3 generations they became white.
The Roman government say, hey, we conquered Greece. Greece conquered Egypt. And Greece plagiarized and got all that stuff out of Kemet. But now we conquered Greece and we got all this shit logged down to the T and lying around. Won't you get some damn scholars and go up in there and translate that shit and make our own damn religion? So we got the same shit the Hebrews got. We got the Egyptian stuff, but at this time it's in Coptic form. Meanwhile, they got a group of people called the Gnostics that came out of Alexandria, Egypt, that's worshiping the same Christendom of this religion. Rome was like, no, we're going to get our stuff, but we're going to tailor it a little bit. We're not necessarily interested in the spiritual ramification. We're interested in world domination through it. So we want to keep the same scripture so we can go into scripture and see the spiritual connotation.
So that answered the question earlier about them having the knowledge but not able to deal with it. See, they can't deal with the what it was, why it was created and what its effect is, because it's melanated, it's melanin oriented. So they don't want to deal with that part of it. They want to deal with the part because they want to conquer the world. They want to rule over everybody. So they want to deal with the literary part of it, the hook with the people with. They can't deal with the spiritual side of it, which is dealing with the melanin and the carbon. They can't deal with it.
But we want a religion that, number one, we can rule motherfuckers.
See, they don't care about the spiritual side of it.
Josephus and a whole bunch of these scholars. Now you must understand that a scholar, or you must understand a priest at that time was more advanced than your highest PhD in the society of nuclear physics. He ain't got shit on no priest in the ancient world. Bad boys. You make a nuclear physicist and a PhD look like a damn dumbass. So when these people put some shit together, it's put together. Because we're talking about scientists is putting these shits together. So they got Paul, Josephus, who was a Hebrew that defected and started working for the Jews. For the Romans. Paul was a Roman citizen. They go in and they get all these texts that they carted out of Egypt by Greece, but they now control Greece. And they put together the New Testament out of this ancient Coptic and Gnostic material, which before it was Coptic and Gnostic, it was Metaneta. But they know, and they put all these elements together in it. Meanwhile, they got these other group of people over there, and they bust out saying, we got Christianity. These other group of people over there, the Gnostics, say, wait a minute, we got that shit too. That ain't your shit, that's our stuff. So what they do, they kill them all off. They're like, in the movie they got with a robber, with a person, you got two people, he'll take one man's stuff and steal it and then kill the man off. So kill him off and nobody knows. So they killed these people off and took their shit. But it was a modified stuff. And the reason why they had to kill the people off, because the people was like, wait a minute, that's modified.
Right.
You got some controlling stuff there. We got the true stuff over here, and that's what this stuff here is that they found in 1945 in Egypt. All of it has an Egyptian origin. That's, But it's interesting they found this same stuff in Egypt in 1945. So meanwhile, they killed these. No, this is called the Nag Hammadi Library of the Gnostic texts.
Are those texts different?
Yeah, the Dead Sea Scroll was found in 1948. This was found in 1945. This is more advanced than the Dead Sea Scroll.
There you go.
It's more of it. It's more advanced than the Dead Sea Scrolls. We talking about some shit that they can give you 1 million years worth of history in about 4 or 5 pages. How advanced it is. We talking about each line of the damn text might scan 100 years within a fucking sentence or two. That's how advanced it is. That's the pharaonic thought I'm talking about. That you couldn't get from the Book of the Dead, but once they translated it into Coptic, we get what they were really talking about. And that's when this subordinate deity comes up. But anyway, They killed. So anyway, they bring out this whole Roman thing, and all of a sudden they got an instrument that they can dominate the world with, because they have Paul and them have gone in and tailored this shit that it can be used both ways. But Paul and them, the one that they did was so it was close to the original, so they had to do the conference of Nicaea and 8 other conferences to modify it. You see what I'm saying? To modify it. Yeah. But what we're talking about, what is the difference between, you asked the question, what would be the difference between the modern day Christian model and the ancient model? Right. The Christian model, the modern day Christian, was tailored to take advanced concepts that goes on the inner workings of the body and make them literal. So they say sublime mythology makes grotesque history. So one thing they did to make it literal, they historicalized everything. Right. None of that shit was historical. There was never Jesus over in the what you call it. I want to ask you a question. Now let's look at this. You a black Hebrew. You ought to know where the hell a damn black man came and taught amongst your ass. Why is it that you can't find no black Hebrew or no modern day white Jew that bear witness to the Jesus thing? You would think if a person gonna give you the Messiah, that's something hell to take. Everybody talk about a Jewish Messiah, but yet you can't find no Jew to bear witness to that. That's true. Why is that? Because the Jew knew, like all the other ancient people in the world. See, we're talking, the Jew knew that first of all, that was from Roman propaganda of the Hebrew. He knew, just like the Egyptian knew, just like the Greek knew, just like the Mesopotamian knew, like the Babylonian knew, like the ancient African knew, that the Christ that is to come can only come one time in the history. First of all, there's 2 things. First of all, Christ is a title. And we all are the living Christ, because Christ is the level we can rise to. But the Christ, the true Christ, that is supposed to be the end all and be all, he can only come one time in history. And that's at the end of the world. Now I'll tell you why I know this. Because I studied alchemy to know this. You can quote me on this. When the true manifestation of Christ comes, the physical earth would cease to be. For the mere fact that we got a physical earth, whatever teachers or whatever couldn't have been the true Christ. The Hebrews knew this. The Hebrews said, "Wait, hold on. We get our origin in Egypt." And the Egyptians knew, like everything else, Horus comes. And Horus comes to kill. To kill? To kill. Horus comes to kill. The true Christ never taught love. That's some Roman bullshit to keep people docile. All you gotta do is just take my word for it. You go and study you can go to Greek and study Hercules. That's the Greek Horus or Apollo. But you can study Horus, or Heru. You find out something about Heru. I'm gonna tell you what this is. You won't find no text in Egypt where Heru is talking about love. Heru does one thing and one thing only. He kicks ass. That's all he does. He kills motherfuckers. That's it. That's what he does. The Greek version is Hercules, which is the same story, because he don't do one thing. From the time he born to the time he dies, he kills everything in sight. Cleaning house. So the Hebrews knew. They knew that when they was talking about a person coming back, talking about all this love and all this kind of thing, they said the true Christ coming back to kill the world.
So let's look at that right quick. Because those things, you got people, you tell them, you show them stuff, they think you concoct something out of your own mind. So let's look at it. I'm in Ezekiel 37. Look at this. He says, Ezekiel 37, first of all, he's going to raise his army up in Ezekiel 37. Then you get to 23. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their out of all the places wherein they have sinned, and I will cleanse them. So shall they be my people. I will be their God. And David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they shall all have one shepherd. And they shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob, my servant, wherein their fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be prince over them. Why David? Well, David, the one who cleaned out the Jebusites and cleaned out all the giants. He the one came killing off giants. He started out the back and killed Goliath. So see what he's saying right here. So based on what he's saying, we ain't no dispute who the Messiah is. And then he's over his army. What this army gonna do? Let's go right quick. I'm gonna go right quick. Started calling back. So I'm in Joel. And it says right here, says chapter 2 of Joel. Blow your trumpet in Zion, sound an alarm in my holy mountain, and let all inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand, the day of darkness and gloominess, the day of clouds and thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountain, a great people and strong, that have not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even the years of many generations. A fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burning, and the land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, as a horseman, so shall they run, like the noise of chariots on top of a mountain. They shall leap, like the noise of the flame of fire that devoured the stubble, and a strong people set in battle array. So David over his army, like just doing this, like he said, they ain't doing nothing but kicking ass. The Messiah ain't coming with all this, what they're doing in Christianity, babysitting in people and patting them on the head and laying hands on them, like he's saying right here. And so by him revealing this, we know exactly who it is. If you've been fumbling with it before, now we know who it is. It's David. He came here the first time, killing giants and kicking ass. Okay?
You see what I'm saying? Get the house in order. He's the God of Ecclesiastes with the blood on the sword. He's the God of Revelation. They had blood dripping from him. So the Romans came in
on the end of time.
End of time. That's the only time the true Christ can manifest on the earth. Otherwise, we are all the race of Christ, Christos anointed one. We all have melanin. But the Christ that we're talking about here is this seed that I was telling you. Now they have isolated this thing. They can tell you this stuff in science. In astrophysics, they say there's a seed that is the only thing that is not it's the only thing that's in this universe that's not of this universe. It's from the outside known universe. And when that seed manifests itself, it will explode everything on this planet and destroy the universe. And we'll go back to the original existence. If any man came saying he was the Christ, he couldn't have been the real one. That's why the Hebrews to this day, whether even the converted ones, but they copied the original black ones, never bear witness to Christ. And the Arabs over there is like, that's bullshit. The Egyptians, that's bullshit. That's Rome and that's Paul and them. Because what Paul and them was trying to do was trying to get the monopoly on the Christ that everybody in the world had. You see what I'm saying? And the Romans say if we can get the monopoly on this Christ, we can rule the world with this thing. You see what I'm saying? So they literally tried to corner the market on the Christ that was all around the world. It is irrational for a Japanese man to worship a Jewish savior. It is irrational for a blue-black African to worship a white man. Just as it's irrational for an Eskimo to worship a black man, where everybody in their mythology got the same Christ. But the Romans came in because they wanted to dominate the world. And they tried to get the monopoly on the Christ by saying that this is the only true Son of God. And basically this person just comes up and tell you to do all this love and all this crazy thing. But guess what? The text came up in 1945. The true Christ, the one that comes from the Coptic harvest, he don't say none of that shit. In the Gospel of Thomas, it was like, which is when they got out of the library, they took out a conference of Nicaea. It's found in these in this text. In the Gospel of Thomas, he says, they say, Christ, tell us what kind of diet you want us to go on. He said, don't lie. Why do what you hate? Blessed is the man who eats the lion. Then the lion becomes a part of the man. Cursed is the man that gets eaten by the lion, and a man becomes a part of the lion. He goes on, they say, tell us about the kingdom of heaven. He said, you'll know the end when you know the beginning. Since you done lost the knowledge to the beginning. They well, then they said, they told about tell about the end. He said, you know the end if you know the beginning. They said, tell us about the kingdom of heaven. He said, heaven is all around you, but you drunk, you can't see it because you're looking for these two eyes. You ain't looking with the spiritual eye. This person in here is a straight up revolutionary. A no-holds-barred person. They don't even deal with the crazy stuff. You see what I'm saying? So clearly the text that they dug up in 1945 that dates back to Coptic Egypt and on in the Metanetta is a totally different thing. And that's the original one before the Romans stole it and turned it into the New Testament. But don't get me wrong, the New Testament got all the stuff in it. It's just that for the first time you can't go by page for page, but you can go into the pages and find the same stuff. That's the difference. The Bible is still a viable thing. You just can't go by from A to Z, but you can go into the pages and it's all there. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. Yeah, that's the difference. You can't go by the basic theology that's drawn up from the Freedmen's Bureau, which is the way they was going to teach slaves. And that's what we still on now. Same old good old time religion is good enough for me. You can't go by that anymore. Mm-hmm. You have to go into the book. That's what Elijah Muhammad said. And that's the difference. It's all there. Now let me show you the real mystery of the book to make the book come alive. Take the book, take some old deity that you're supposed to follow, take him out, and put yourself in the role of Christ. And that's what the book is originally for. It's a guidebook for your soul, which is the Christ. So the person that they're talking about in there is you, old body, new body, Old Testament, New Testament. If you take the book, just as I have done great works, greater works ye shall do. Is it not written in the law that ye are gods, and the scriptures cannot be broken? John chapter 10, verse 34, 36. So it means you're supposed to take the book as an esoteric book. And everywhere you see Jesus or the Christ, you identify that as your soul. Then the book comes alive. It's just when you start following it and thinking some crapper coming back or some black man coming back. Mm-hmm. Black man come back saying, I'm the Christ. I say, okay, good. You take these bullets. Now you take these bullets and you take them and don't be on that floor, then maybe you have a chance. I might follow you. But the esoteric teaching was a mystery system book, just like the Book of the Dead, which is a passage to the soul. And you are the Christ in it. So it's a role-playing book where you get through the journey. You go on a journey, and at the end of the journey, you become illuminated. That's the real message. And that's the difference between the Egyptian one and the other one. At this time, it's a scapegoat thing. They tell you to worship somebody instead of you becoming the God. Yourself. And that's the difference between them.
Now, can you remember what I cut you off from? You were in a continuation. If you don't, I actually know.
No, I remember. In so many words, what I was saying was, based on all of the ancient ones, they all talk about a story of the gods before this God. The God of the day or the God of the living means that in actuality, the God of these two eyes, which is a cheek, he creates this illusion around you, which is a hologram. The God of the dead is inside of you. Where's the God that died? Jesus died on the cross. Where's the cross? If you stand up and put your arms out like this, that's the cross. You get it? Now, where's Christ? Christ is on the inside of you, which is the third eye on the cross. That's the cross that Jesus died on. That means that your soul is on the inside. It died long ago when you fell into the physical realm, and it will be resurrected again through the Kundalini energy. You see what I'm saying? That's what this thing is talking about. That's what this thing is talking about. You see what I'm saying? You know. So yeah. So give me some more questions.
You know, I want to deal a little bit with this Black Greek. I had that picture there. I want to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, but you got it on you.
I have it. I inserted in. But you said the Etruscans.
The Etruscans.
Etruscans.
Let me go through a little bit of history of that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Let me go through a little bit of history of that. Before I get to that, let me explain something else. The oldest system of worship in the world is called Typhonianism. That's why you ain't heard about it. So you got all these other people talking about the oldest, but the real stuff you ain't heard about. It's called Typhonianism, Ophidianism, and Draconianism. You heard the word? You figure there ain't no word, but the white boy tell you your idea is a little draconian. Well, if it's a word that don't exist, why is he using it in his doggone dictionary? And this is the cult of the dragon. The dragon is in the constellation of Draco. And that's the form of the Great Mother.
So you see what's going on when he's saying, when he's talking about these Typhonian and Draconian, that's before the flood. And then not only that, he said the dragon is the Great Mother. This is where the ideology come in about the woman being in heaven and all that from right here. And we know that the priesthood was serpents. We know that Satan is a serpent.
All the other goddesses, the Great Mother, take it from this one Great Mother. But she has a son. It's the mother and the son, and that son is Sirius, the star system Sirius, are known as Soot. Now it's interesting, we had this Draconian and Typhonian stuff up until 1904, 1907. See, Gerald Massey, when he went into the British Museum, he translated a lot of this stuff, and you can get all this in his works. But after 1907, after he translated Book of the Beginning, 1881, and then Natural Genesis, 1888, and then finally in 1907, he does Ancient Egypt, Light of the World. All this Typhonian stuff disappears. They lock it down, and only people who have access to it is your secret societies. And they go to Nubia, with a lot of this Typhonian stuff, and they cover over 200 temples at the Aswan Dam, which had this Typhonian stuff in it, as well as they found Hebrew letters all over them temples. So it was the vested interests of the Jews to cover it up because it would show the African origin of the Hebrew. 200 temples.
So
Yes. You know the
I gotta deal with that one. So he's trying to say that cause when Moses went into Egypt and he was living in Egypt and living in Pharaoh's house, he got the ideologies from the Egyptians and he came out and predicated everything he done off of Egypt. But I'm going to show you what time it is there. So I'm in Genesis chapter 10. Yeah, let me see. I'm in Genesis chapter, I'm in the wrong place. Genesis chapter 11. Genesis chapter 11 says, it's the Tower of Babel. So it says, and the whole earth was one language and one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelled there. And they said one to another, go, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime for mortar. So it's one language. If they had one language, they one writing. They had one language. So they was writing in Hebrew. They speaking in Hebrew, they writing in Hebrew. And so when you understand that, that means before the flood. If they had one language right here, this is Genesis chapter 11, they had one language before the flood. It was in Hebrew. That's why it's Hebrew on if they ask one dam. But he don't know that. Okay.
white man don't. Yeah, you know the white man don't cover up nothing. Now, so you know it had to be some real serious shit for him to cover up 200 temples. And they digging in Egypt this day, and they got 200 temples up under the Aswan Dam, up under the river. See what I'm saying? That was Typhonian stuff. Now the Typhonian stuff of the great mother and the child developed, matured, and declined even before the first monumental phase of Egypt, where the big buildings of the dynastic Egypt. The dynastic group came in, which is your Ra worshippers and Osiris, and they replaced it, the Typhonian, and they wiped it from the monuments. And Osiris takes on the attribute of soot, and Set becomes his nemesis, or he becomes his enemy. But Set is the oldest god in the world, and Typhonian's attributes before it comes Osiris attributes before there was Osiris used to belong to Set. All this is in Jeremiah's Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, as well as Albert Churchward's Evolution, Origins of Christianity, Evolution, Origins of Religion. So Set is the oldest primordial deity of all time, which is the star Sirius also. But Osiris becomes the star Sirius too, as well as all the other Egyptian deities. So one priesthood overtakes the other priesthood. So that priesthood, Apep, is the great dragon also. Apep was replaced by Ra. So the Typhonians at this time travel up into Mesopotamia and find Babylonia, Samaria, Chaldea, and on into Greece as the Etruscans. But they were the
time period we're talking about.
Oh man, we're talking about the Typhonians were basically your pre-dynastic time period. So it's before 3000 BC.
500.
Well, Manetho says that there's 500 pharaohs in the dynastic period, which is 3,000 years, and there's 800 in the pre-dynastic, which was 5,000 years. And roughly, he said, we're talking about about 8,000 years. The pre-dynastic is the Typhonian. It's the pre-dynastic. So they travel up into Mesopotamia and all that, but they also, from Mesopotamia, they become the Phoenicians, the
Now they are still all black people right now.
Ain't nothing. Nothing never was nothing but black. These are the Phoenicians. And the Phoenicians traveled into Rome because the Phoenicians becomes Etruria, and Etruria becomes the Etruscans of the Trojans. You know, the Greek went to war with the Trojans. That's the later day Indo-Europeans going to war with the Trojans and wiped out those Etruscans. But the Etruscans find Rome and Greece, which I showed the picture. And they find Rome and Greece and establish the Greek language and the Latin language. And the first Greek mythology, Zeus and Apollo and Hercules, is a black mythology. It's just as valid. Now, Greek philosophy was stolen from Egypt years later. So don't mix up the time cycle. Greek mythology is black. Greek philosophy is plagiarized Egyptian philosophy. So don't do the time cycle. When I talk about Hercules and Zeus, Apollo and Perseus, that's black. It's not later. It's just the Phoenicians' religion of the Typhonian stuff. So they say, well, what the Phoenicians are the Etruscans worship? They had the religion of the whole Olympian deities of Greece, which the later Indo-Europeans come in and wipe them out and then take their shit. You see what I'm saying?
Now this time period would have been around when the Indo-Europeans come in. It would be around 800.
It would be closer to the time. It would be maybe a couple hundred years closer to the time that Greece comes into world history as this white 2000 BC.
500 BC.
Yeah, you know, whatever the time thing is, you know, like that, no. So it's no different than, you know, everywhere you go, you got your Dravidians. It's the same story. You got your Dravidians in this Kush in India, and then the Indus Valley, and then what happens? The Indo-Europeans come in, and because India is a big place, they don't wipe out all of them. But you have further to the north, you get a lighter type of Indian. It's a caste system going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Greeks never were all white. As a matter of fact, when you see the Greeks now, they got nappy hair.
Yeah, I can see that.
And if they got damn nappy hair in damn 99, then you know 2,000 years ago they had to be all black. So we still talk about primarily a black culture, even with the influx of the Indo-Europeans. You see what I'm saying? They never were always. That's why Charles Spence said when the Greek has the Greece and the ancient Greek, when they did the survey, had a heavy sickle cell trait. So that means they had to be black. See the difference? And that's the difference on that. You see what I'm saying? So that the Etruscans is that particular group of people, which the picture shows. I got the picture. I can run in and get it if you want.
No, add it in.
Add it in. If you got it, okay.
I got that.
Yeah. So that's what that is.
Okay, that's.
Okay. So got the Q. Got questions. We got about 20 more minutes after this. Anybody got any questions or comments about what they heard? No comments? Questions? Okay.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if anybody else was going to say something, but he's speaking a lot of truth and a lot of facts that most people don't want to stomach.
Right. Exactly. Right.
But it makes sense the way he's putting it together. I mean, even though he's off in a few areas, but the bulk of what he's saying makes sense. Like how he was saying that the Hebrews, you know, were black that was there during the time of the Romans. I mean, we know that's Esau, but he still understands the time frame.
Right. It also factor in the fact that he said all Israel ain't Israel.
Right.
So, and that goes back to the question that was posed earlier today too about melanin. You know, because you got people that got melanin in them, but they ain't got nothing to do with Israel. You know, so you got to understand that. Then when those fallen angels came down, they brought melanin down with them. So just like when the European came on the scene, we see the result of that now. They whited the whole area out. We got all of those so-called Egyptians over there now. They ain't look like that back in the day. So it's the same thing when the angels come. They come and bringing an overdose of melanin, whereas when these Europeans came, they lighting everybody up. So you have to factor that in. Yeah. So like I was saying before though, with that now you see where this mother goddess from and all this ideologies come from. And we also understand that I read where Nimrod was going east and he looking for a plane. Well, when he found that he was looking for a particular plane because he found those writings that was left over. They had carved all this stuff on stone and he found it after the water had receded. That's why he picked a particular place. He said he went east looking for a plane and found a plane in Shinar, and he just started building on a area that was already there before the flood. That was already being used by these giants and these fallen angels and all that before the flood. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got any questions? What's up, D-Ray? Yeah, so anybody got any questions? Any comments? All right, we're gonna go into this last little bit and then shut it down.
He rules because he causes luxury. And he rules through his luxury. He's a chameleon. Keep changing the fashion, keep changing the technology, and you keep running after the shit. He causes luxury, material possessions. So he really ain't the king of nothing. So they say the empire changes of the earth, but it only changes the outer appearance. He's the Lord of illusion. You see what I'm saying? He's the Lord of illusion. So in any way, what we're talking about here is why they only came with religious material. Because the religious material tells you in actuality, we are hard-headed. We are looking to build a civilization to match his, and he has civilized barbarism. What we need a bunch of black capitalists for? We have been there, done that. We're trying to get to the next plateau. And that's the problem. What we do, we claim we're so damn religious and we believe in Jesus and all that type of shit here. But it's like the old saying, everybody want to get to heaven, nobody wants to die. We want what we want, and we want to be equal to the white man and not equal to our own God's self. You see? So I asked this question, did the Egyptians leave a blueprint behind if they had 5,000 years to prepare on economic freedom? No, they left spiritual stuff, and the spiritual stuff talk about metamorphosis. Osiris rising to the Heru, and the Heru is the higher realm. You see? Got any more questions?
My brother, I think we've been thorough.
You sure I can go some more now?
Hey.
How do you say yeah?
But, whatever you feel the people need to hear. But these tapes, I'm going to put out right away because I think they need to be put out right away. Because the information and the knowledge is critical for this time. Like the other tape I held. Matter of fact, I'm still, because I kept saying that, when
you saw?
Yes, it's wrong.
What we need to do is also is We have been programmed to think a certain way. And I've been coming to New York for the longest now, and basically from LIB to BLS, and basically we say the same thing over and over and over again, but we don't push the mind to think of those things that in actuality that is your fears. And that's the real initiation. So I talk about the dark side, but they said ISIS, Offset says, no one has lifted my veil. What does she mean by that? She said you didn't lift the veil at all because you are so scared of some stuff. And my goodness, after all we have gone through, we don't have no reason being scared of no devil or whatever. I figure hell got to be a resort area in a damn jacuzzi compared to this bullshit. But then again, when you study the Greek word hyo and the Hebrew word, the Christian word hell, and the Hebrew word hail, it means physical earth. Helix or hell means the physical earth. The other word, the word Hebrew word comes from the word also the word Sheol, and the word Sheol is the word shell. And the shell, and shell, from shell you get hell, is the physical body. We live in hell, which means you're trapped in the physical body. So all of this particular mythology that we're talking about, where we are scared of a damn devil, as the scapegoat to blame everything on. You see what I'm saying? Keeps us trapped. Our own fears.
But if this white boy don't have a soul, what would happen to him?
Good question you asked. So you done got me into another realm, and it's a good question you asked. I'm glad you said this. It'd be good to end with. What we live in is called a matrix. It's a series of emanations in electromagnetic pulses that does not exist. It's an illusion. We used to be the gods of the universe before our children took over. Our children, when they took over and they trapped us into the physical realm finally, they put the brain on us, and the brain gives you the illusion that this is all real. It's only the wiring of the brain that's telling you this. It does not exist. In the context of that, although the script is that we created the white boy, in the context of whatever we did down here, the white boy, by him not having a soul, which means he is not real, he's only a part of this particular realm, of this particular matrix. And the white boy, in actuality, this is the key, he does not exist.
He's always kicking a lot of ass.
He's sure not kicking a lot of ass. When we went to, when my
girl,
girl,
nobody that he enslaved.
let me show you something about slavery. See, even when you go even deeper into it, and this is one thing you must understand, you go deeper into it. Slavery was a part of the process. It said, out of Egypt I will call my son. In alchemy, which is the highest form of the Egyptian mystery, is called the royal art. And the royal art was alchemy, the learning of the soul and melody. In a section of alchemy, the ultimate goal of alchemy is to take something original and make something new out of it. It's called illumination through putrefaction, where you take something from one stage, take it to its lowest, the common denominator, which is a form of defecation, or whatever we call it, a putrefaction, a rot, and you make something new into it, a new specimen. In actuality, the slave took an African and made a new entity out of it, whereas whether you like it or not, you believe this or not, I'll tell you the truth. In the 20th century, 1865, you say what the fuck you want, and them damn Africans can say what the fuck you want. We were the pinnacle that all the other African nations followed.
You mean Africa, right?
The Africans in America. We are the most unique brand of Negro there is. And no matter how much they claim we are savages and inferior that the white man put in their head, they follow us. And they follow us, and we are unique because we have gone through a process that makes us like nobody else. You see what I'm saying? We are unlike anybody else. We are even unlike the Caribbeans. They still have a connection to Africa. You see it even in the talk and even in everything about them. Still have African overtones to it because they was in a tropical land. We are the only people that have been made new. And whether you like it or not, we have produced the most innovative inventions, genius, and intellectual ability is unmatched. You figure they talk about a Diop, well hell, got a damn Diop on every fucking corner. Now I'm not taking up from the African, and I'm not taking up from the people of the diaspora. But what I'm trying to say is, we have been at the forefront of running this stuff. That's just history. Because there's something in us in a transformation that we have gone through. No matter how damn degenerated we might look today walking around the ghettos or whatever. There's something in us that's unique. That puts us closer to the ancient Egyptians than the damn Africans. That's why we connected back with it. And this was prophesized.
Look that up with that Mellon study where they find a new.
Exactly. Good you said that. Good question. This point that I'm talking about here is illumination through putrefaction. Anybody knows if you go blind, your ears, your hearing becomes better. If you go deaf, your sight becomes better. We were therefore brain dead in the United States, which means that we were not functioning on our maximum brain level. But when that happens, the genius kicks in. You see, you're going to find out that we have two heads. One is the brain, which is a holographic brain. This only represents the five senses of appearances and awareness. But there is appearances. The other brain is the pineal brain in the third eye. As long as the physical brain, the one we have, that we rely on every day, was functioning on a high level, the pineal brain at this particular time had gotten to a point that it was dormant. Only some people get a twinge of use from it. That's right. Now, as a result, because other aspects of us are shutting down and deteriorating because we're not at the best thing that we were even after slavery. The other brain, just like the sight that would come on when the ears go, is now coming into focus. So because of the activity of the brain is shutting down at a rapid pace with black people in a racial senility, the other brain is going to override it. And that particular brain is the Godhead. So in order for the Godhead to come in, you have to tear down the old to make ready for the new. So you must understand the way science goes. If you have a light, the light of creation, that light is going to the maximum of what it can be. In order for you to get a new light, you have to have a degeneration of that creation. Once that creation act is created, In order for you to get a new paradigm or a new aspect of that, you have to degenerate or deteriorate to come back even greater than the light that you had before. You see what I'm saying? You can come back even greater than the light you come before. So the light that we have now is what they call the New Jerusalem, never to fall again, or the new what you call it. To get to that new plateau, you had to go to the deepest, darkest decay. And from that decay, the new light comes on. So the other brain is up under here, which has been helping us out through the years, but it's now ready to come online fully.
Okay. So anybody got any comments for them? I'm gonna do a little recap and then close out. Anybody got any comments on anything?
Yeah, what was his answer to the question the guy asked about the soul? I missed that.
I'm looking around because
What'd he say?
Yeah, what was his response to that?
I don't even remember. I don't remember that.
He was saying if they don't have the soul.
Oh, you talking about the white man?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that they don't have a soul. He said they don't. It's from what I gathered from it, it's like the Matrix. He was talking about like the Matrix. They don't even really exist. It's just that in our brain, you know, they can't, they come into play because of they are part of our reality. We didn't brought them into our reality. But he turned around and said, the guy that was interviewing him turned around and said that don't make sense because of slavery real. How are they not real when they didn't enslave us? Slavery real.
Right.
Our oppression real. Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is a little recap and then I'm gonna close out and then I'm gonna go back to go over something that I quickly connect on these dots and then close it out. Yeah.
I just have a statement in reference
Go ahead.
to in reference to the Mazunga not having a soul. A lot of them don't believe that they're gonna go anywhere after they die. They just believe that that's it.
Right.
And yeah, and so in conversation with other melanated people, that's probably why they do the things that they do in reference to us, because it's like, oh well, I might as well do whatever to be
Right.
to get as far as I can in doing what I'm doing, because I'm not, this is it. I don't have to answer to nobody after this. This is it anyway. So
Right. It's just it's in their nature. You know, they live dangerous, they live reckless and all that. So, you know, that's what
yeah,
they
they're I guess driven by whatever spirit or whatever is in them, just driving them to do the thing. I mean, to me, it's obvious that whatever it is wicked, because they be doing some wicked things. Jeez. And they all go along with it. It's like they trapped. They stuck on stupid.
right.
You did another class with it. They said that they're backwards people. They don't have no understanding. You
Right.
know, not good understanding as to, I guess, as far as life is concerned, and to be able to figure something out, to be able to tell when somebody lying. They don't care because they lying too, and they're gonna be confederate with them. It's just crazy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and they don't, it's when you go back and look at it, like the guy was saying about the melanin, the lack of melanin, then you go to the transatlantic slave trade and the horrendous things they did on there, on those boats, let you know right there that they, the melanin is the civilized element of a human, and they don't have it. And it's evident by, like I said, what they did when it pertaining to the transatlantic slave trade. But anyway, so I'm just gonna do a little quick recap. Yeah. Yeah, we dealing with this. We started out with this cynicism, which was about going out in the wilderness, starving yourself, and they got that from Buddhism, and then you come over here on the other side and got Stoicism right here. You know, it's the same thing. Stoicism is the offshoot from when the Greeks came in contact with Buddhism, and they was, you know, it's about starving yourself and going against the status quo and all that, which is, you know, they use that to come in like what Daniel had did, but it's not the same thing. But it was enough for them to slide in with it, and it got, you know, it had us uh hoodwinked for a long time. But what Daniel did was fasted and prayed to seek his God. But this is sort of similar to it, but it's perverted. It's like I was showing you about what was going on in Egypt. So that's how you get this Christ right here. Let me get my stick. Yeah. So that's how you get this Christ from the cynicism and the sword right here. This is how you get him. He came in existence. So, and like I was telling you before, this is betrayal right here. That's betrayal. See how the Buddha, I showed you how the Buddha looked, but see how they didn't. Now he's a white man. The Buddha had little beads on his head, but there he is now. This betrayal. See the sun behind him? And betrayal is like he was just talking about in the Buddhism, when Sandaka became the Buddha, he prophesied that this betrayal was coming at the end of the world. That's where you get the storyline for Jesus coming at the end of the world. Because they're saying he's betrayal. So anyway, with that understanding, we went to, I want to bring up this guy right here too. Right here. This was Marcus Aurelius. So you gotta do your, you know, go do your homework on it. But this guy right here was he was a Caesar. He was the last one that, when you know anything about the Pax Romana, where it was peace for like 5 Caesars. He was the last one, and he was a Stoic. He was a Caesar, but he was Stoic. But like I was saying before, see, the Buddha. That's Stoicism and Buddhism is all the same thing. And like I said, it's all leading up to what Constantine did at the Council of Nicaea when he concocted JC, because of all this stuff here was led up to it. And like I said right here, we're gonna I was showing you that that's betrayal right there. Well, here go Jesus as posing as betrayal. But like I said, you won't know that if you don't see that Jesus posing as betrayal. And here you go right here. This the actual Buddha right here. This the white betrayal that was in Alexandria, Egypt. And here goes this the Chinese betrayal right here. That's the actual Buddha. See, posture, same posture. So that's how we get there. So with that being said, I want to show you one more thing, and then we can close out. Anybody have any questions? So when you understand that, you're gonna go over here to this hill and close out. Yeah, this is the chart right here that brought. Yeah. So it's the chart right here. So like I said, you want to job a little better, dive into this a little more and get a better understanding. This Hellenistic was when Alexander, when the Greeks came on the scene. That's what Hellenistic means. So we got schools of philosophy. Like I was saying before, Hebrews ain't, the Israelites ain't have no schools in Jerusalem. That came about. That's how you know that when Josephus and all them was there, they had schools in there. That was Jews. The Israelites is gone. They was on the West Coast of Africa, but they go all these different schools. change the thought. They go and all this stuff right here. What you're looking at, they go to Stoicism, cynicism, all these, and this right here, which a lot of people don't know nothing about, was monasticism. That's monks. But anyway, that's how you got. This how this dude came about. Through all this right here, and this Hellenization, what brought him about. That's what guy just got to tell you. Bobby Hemmer just got to just break it down to you. From all this right here, all this stuff here, and the Stoicism and the cynicism and all that, is how they came to practice and brought this guy about. Which was, like I said before, it was Caesarian. Because he was a when you see everything is centered around the Egyptian mystery system, well, Caesarian was, at one point, he was the pharaoh. Him and his mama was ruling at the same time until they killed Julius Caesar. When they killed Julius Caesar is when everything, all hell broke loose, because then they brought Augustus Caesar into the picture. And he came to kill him, and that's when they sent him, which fit right into the prophecy of the Buddha and betrayal. They sent the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to the monastery, a Buddhist monastery up in the Himalaya Mountain. So you can imagine that when he showed up there and they know who he was, they already knew. And then they trained them from 12 years old to 30 years old to be a Buddhist. Then that go your betrayal right there. And then you go deal with the Essenes. The Essenes dealing with the same thing. They was all Buddhists. That was the foundation. With Buddhism, that's where the Greek kingdom came to a halt at. So they was all Buddhists already. That was the foundation. So yeah. With that being said, like I said, anybody got any comments before we go, and then we'll close out. Anybody got any comments or questions before we go? Everybody good?
This is good, Leonard. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna pick this up on Monday at 6 o'clock. And like I said, I was, I felt like it was a need to do this, because it'll bring out a lot of stuff, make a lot of stuff more plain and clear. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Are you gonna do more from this guy?
Yeah. I was gonna. I got something else. I'm conjured up now. Yeah, I'm gonna do some more from him.
Okay.